been 40 years.
That's right.
Athenian grill, maybe?
No, it's 40 years if you wait before the Athenian.
No.
With that, right? You probably won't even remember the name.
Yeah.
That was a
I
lot.
didn't catch that time, man.
That's a lot of parties ago. That's a lot of parties ago. So I try to pride myself in asking obscure questions before we turn it over to the audience. And I actually said yes to the show for 2 reasons. One, I'm on the board. And two, was because of you. And I've never had the chance to interview you. And I truly didn't say this in the last panel, but I
Did not.
I said no. I did not. So you were in a lot of movies I really like. Well, I want to ask about one that I love the cast, big fan of the director, but can you talk a little bit about Survival Quest?
Yeah, that's sort of marks my start in Hollywood because when we were waiting after we finished Aliens, we were waiting for the premiere. And I lived in England at the time. My son was just born, and Bill Paxton would harass me weekly. I mean, I literally weekly. Mark, dude, you gotta come. It's gonna be huge, man. Mark, don't miss it. And I was like, Bill, I know, but my son, I'm working, and I don't know. Finally, it was like, all right, Bill, I booked the flight, we're coming, and Bill Paxton, he said, you can have my apartment. He went and stayed with his girlfriend and let me have his apartment. And then get there, it was a massive premiere, and I was in the back of my head, if ever I was going to go to Hollywood, I'd have to do appeals of a big hit movie. So after the premiere, it was like, oh, this is a big hit movie.
Yeah.
And I walked into every agency in town, and within 5 days, Lance approached me and he said, hey, we're having trouble casting this part. You come and meet the director, Don Coscarelli. And then Don cast me, but more importantly, he did what they called Taft Hartley U, which is like a provision in our union that gets you into the union. And there I was. Started a film with Lance, and the cast was amazing. It's Catherine Keener, Dermot Mulroney, Paul Provenza.
Yeah, but it's one of those movies that I don't think a lot of people remember or it never really got, even though you guys were hot, like it was Aliens, I don't think it was ever actually, how should I say, sold that way.
It wasn't a big release, but it's a good little film.
Yes.
And had a great time making it. You know, Lance and I were good friends back then, and it's marked my start in Hollywood.
So if you don't know who Don Coscarelli is, he gave you Phantasm and one of my favorite movies, Bubba Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sorry. I wanted to start with an obscure one.
That's
Probably
fine. I like
the questions. Oh, don't worry. I got a bunch. All right. So who has our first question? Come on in. Don't be shy. Yeah, go ahead.
So I saw on your IMDb page that you've worked in video games and you've done some voice acting. You do traditional in front of the camera acting. Of those types of projects, what do you like most? And do you like to get a character where you can make it your own, or do you like to go into, the second or third person to play a character and bring your own spin on an existing character?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I regard myself a movie guy, so I love creating characters. I was trained classically in the theater, but I love creating characters, and oftentimes through the movie, of course, you had the capability to really stand on something, call your own. But of late, you get the honor of playing some of the characters like Lex Luthor. I mean, iconic character, good on the list of all the great actors who have played it, so you just kind of follow along the tide of all those great performances, and like you say, you put your own spin on it. In terms of genre too, it's like I've been doing like the Spider-Man franchise, and just this past week I've been working on a virtual reality game. I can't tell you the title, but
Oh, sure you can. It's not like someone's live streaming right now.
sorry, yeah, but it is extraordinary. Like the technology of virtual reality is mind-blowing, and you kind of see the future happening. It's like even with video games. I mean, each successive year, cinematics get better, the games get more complex. twice. And I remember, I'm old enough to know games when they were linear. I mean, they weren't even multi-level. So I find it all exciting. I really regard to come full circle, my answer is that in the video games, I regard it as theater around.
Yeah.
Because you're surrounded by all these multiple cameras that pick up you from every which side. It's like an editor's nightmare. But it's like theater because you can't let down your character even for a second. So, and just to say, what blew my mind about this virtual reality is that when we were doing Spider-Man, and I learned this past week, the facial capture is really great because they do that in like 4K resolution. But the body capture, the motion capture, it's still a little bit wooden, you know. But in this virtual reality thing I was just doing this week, so I'm in what they call the volume. It's like the stage where you're initialized to the computer. There's monitors, and I see the avatar of my character. It's not me, it's the avatar. But during my performance, the avatar moves in absolute instant synchronicity with everything I do. Which is unlike when I'm working on the Spider-Man game, it's like, you know, it doesn't look, this look, it's hyper reality because the Sony cameras shoot, I don't know, they probably shoot at a higher resolution. Regular film camera shoots at 24 frames per second. This virtual reality shoots at 124 frames per second. So it smooths out all of the jerkiness of the movement. And it just blew my mind. It's the future. In fact, I was even saying that Meta is the company that's put up the money because they, I talked to Ed Honcho, he's like, this is going to change filmmaking. So, you know, as much as I laugh, you know, Martin Scorsese used to say, I'll never do anything but film. And then he made Hugo, he's like, I'll never do anything but digital. And now it's going to be, it's going to be 4K, ultra reality. When I was doing Star Wars with Ahsoka, you know, we worked at the volume, which is LED panels, you know, as big as the convention hall here, the basketball courts. It's as big as that. And there are no square edges, it's all curved LED panels. And then they have this thing they call the brain bar, which is off to the side with a bunch of planes. Sending, you know, computer imagery and layering it up to create these 3D locations. But theoretically, they could just say, hey, you know what? I want to bring up the Eastern Kentucky University basketball gym, and they could do it. So it's an exciting time. It's different. You know, we just got out of our strike, which is a great thing, but I'm old enough to say it. I've seen it happen. When I first went to Hollywood, we were making like 450 to 500 movies a year. Now studios make 10, 15, maybe. So even though we may have gotten some concessions with pay raises, there are going to be fewer and fewer jobs going forward. Because I think it's going to happen in the streaming platforms. TV, they're going to hang their hat on like tentacles like Succession or White Lotus, which is great. You know, but I don't think they'll quite have the breadth of production where you can get those sort of breakthrough things. You know, they're like truly creative people who make a hit movie. I don't know. So it's still exciting. It's very exciting. So I'm happy to be doing games. Just to put it in perspective, I mean, I did a really cool short movie with the producing company and the actors of Bosch, the Titus Welder. That was written by Michael Connolly. But the last big feature I did was Midway. That Roland Emmerich did, that was 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a few years.
So it's kind of gives you an idea of what's going on.
But for convention work, you know not only Star Trek, but you also have Star Wars.
I do.
Just saying.
Oh yeah. No, it was a big deal.
It's a huge
I'll tell you the funny story about that. So it was during the pandemic, my agent calls up and says, hey, these guys want to interview you about aliens, and do you want to do this? I said, I'm on lockdown. Like, yeah, I'll talk to anybody. Anybody but my wife. That's a joke. That's a joke. So yeah, I talked to these three guys. We had a ball. We were laughing, joking. We talked for like 3 hours, and then just said bye. And then years later, I was back. I used to move back with my mom. I got a call from my agent. He said, "Hey, I got an offer for you." I said, "Well, that's always good." He said, "Yeah, but I can't tell you what it is, who it is, what it's about. I can't show you the script." He said, "All I can tell you is the dates and the money." I kind of felt like Pete Davidson. I just went, "Okay." And
You didn't even know it was Star Wars?
they couldn't say a thing.
Did you have a hint or a clue? Like,
No,
you should. There wasn't like the agent was going, "I can't tell you what it is," but.
No. He said, "Seriously, I don't know. They won't say it." It wasn't until I went to my costume fitting that I went, "Oh, now I know." Because you saw drawings and things. But then I get ushered onto the set to meet the director to approve the costume. And here comes Dave Filoni, who's George Lucas's right-hand man now, going, "Hey, Mark, so good to see you. We had such a good time with you on that Zoom call." And my jaw hit the floor. I thought, "Oh, Dave, right. Thank you." You know, I was completely blown away. And you just never know who you're talking to, right? But fortuitous, yeah, because now part of that world, and the fun thing was too, is after I finished my little bit there, which I was very happy with, I thought I really captured the sort of the world of Star Wars. He said, "Mark, thank you, I feel like I wasted you, man." He said, "Don't worry, we'll be doing another spin-off, we'll give you a whole new character." Okay. So it's all exciting, it's all good.
It's fantastic. And you know what I take away from that? Nerds. We inherited the nerd.
Yes, it's true. It's true. And yeah, I mean, like Dave, he's a cool dude.
It's a huge geek.
Total geek, nerd, a wonderful guy. But like on set, like, this is the funniest thing. The entire makeup crew and some of the props people, like in breaks, they would play Star Wars trivia games like you would not believe. I mean, they had teams and they were fierce. So it's a world like I'm not going to claim to be an aficionado, but it's exciting, man. But it's also part of the way corporate entertainment is taking it. It's like we need a brand. Star Wars, perfect brand. You know, Star Trek, perfect brand. And then they just glom onto it. It's kind of like what's happening in the video game world. You know, even in the Spider-Man world, it's Miles Morales. You know, what's spin-off. It'll be endless. So if you like Star Wars, you have decades of entertainment to look forward to.
It's all about the IP now. Next question. Yes.
Well, like they were saying, you've been involved with so much now. Aliens, obviously, Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC. Any big thing or maybe a specific character you wanted to take a crack at or get involved with that you've not had a chance to yet?
From that?
Well, I mean, just any, like a movie series or, like I said, a specific character perhaps you've always kind of...
Well, to be honest, I'm a classically theater-trained actor. I always wanted to play Hamlet.
Oh. I was gonna say King Lear.
I'm not going to be able to play Hamlet, but...
King Lear is coming up. King Lear is coming up.
There you go. I'd love to get back to the stage, but yeah, I mean, I have no specific characters in mind. I guess the good way to bring that to reality is to write something or bend the ear of somebody. But I'm in the Bosch television series. Do you guys watch that? Bosch, it's a great show, great, really well done. So
Actually,
we're finally getting to start up season 3 on that, so I'm excited about that.
Titus Welliver just played Lex Luthor too recently. Yeah,
Did
and
he?
Titans. Yeah,
Oh, what?
Titans, the Max series,
Oh, wow.
really good. So
cool.
another part of the legacy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, no specific character.
Next question. Oh, you guys are being shy. Don't make me. Okay, in the back and then go ahead.
How I.
Do you want, were you asking about Saul? Yeah.
Oh, anything about Saul? Wow. Okay. First day I was in Toronto. Get ushered onto the set just to get fitted and whatnot, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna hang around and watch some shooting. So I watched the opening sequence of Saul 5, and it was fascinating because I see this platform, this box, and there's nobody there. Then the actor comes in, he's sort of laying down like on a ramp, so he's this way. And then they attach the lower portion of his body from about his rib cage down of this dummy. And then they had a real live pendulum that had a real live blade swinging back and forth that would, you know, it was going to eviscerate a human, but it opened up the dummy portion of the body, and out of this body came blood and goo and guts. I mean, real looking intestines. I mean, the artists who did this, and he was a French-Canadian dude, but he was so precise about the way everything could really look. And he did that throughout all the movies, and all those traps were well-researched, blood parts and every body parts. Like, this guy was a master. I nearly threw up. And I was just getting kind of woozy, and then something grabbed me and said, "Are you feeling all right?" I said, "No, I don't think I'm gonna lose it." They were like, "Okay, come here and sit down." I said, "Don't worry, it happens about 10 times a show. You know, somebody either faints or throws up." But I really liked the show because it had this sort of, you know, psychological component to it. It was intriguing. You know, it wasn't just, I mean, it's gory, but it wasn't like just a gore fest, just gratuitous. It had to have a point. But real artists, I tell you, a lot of the Canadian film crews are phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, LA crews are great too. You are great, LA crews, but the Montreal crews, unbelievable. Real artists. So yeah, my only thing about Saw was I was supposed to do Saw 7 as well.
I was going to ask a question.
And then they decided that somebody had to die for the end of Saw 6 and made it me.
Sorry.
No.
Hey, listen, it's not over. There's several people who have supposedly been dead in the Saw franchise who are back.
This is true.
So let's not close that door completely.
Yeah. Did you guys see 10? Was it great? Great. No? It was what?
More traps. He wishes it had more traps.
So it was like a prequel to everything, right?
Yeah, but even back then, the prequel, you had to go to the track. So you spent a lot on it.
Oh.
That's not
Okay. That's unusual.
What is your favorite TV? What do you enjoy watching? Because you do not strike me as a person who enjoys watching the Saw franchise.
I did. I watched everything before I started. I really never said it. But no, I'm a drama guy. You know, I like drama. No, but I watch everything. But me as an actor, I really fit into the drama role. You know, can be funny, but I'm not really a TV guy. I'm not Kevin Hart.
All right, our next question is, do you guys have?
So, you know, you've had a pretty storied career. You've done a lot of different things, from sci-fi to comic books and horror and things like that. Has there been a role where you knew you could master that role? You could bring something to it and it got away. It went to somebody else for any myriad of reasons, and they may have done fine, but is there a role that you wish had been yours for years? You just didn't get.
Well, it's funny. I've never turned down many things, but I auditioned with the Coen Brothers like a lot, and they liked me. You know, we'd always yuck it up, and they'd have me in all the time, which is great. And then I finally get an offer from them, and it was from No Country for Old Men. Yeah. And it was the very first person that Shagur, kills. And all I had to do was I'd be in a car and look up and go, what? And I thought, one word? And I turned it down.
Are you serious?
Well, it was stupid, right? It was stupid because A, I got to spend time with the Coen brothers, etc. Information with myself and them. But the bigger thing that my wife happily pointed out when they won Best Picture of the Year, she said, "You dummy, you just cost us $70,000." You know, because you make that residual money over the years. So that was foolish. But yeah, but parts that went to somebody else. I don't usually track that kind of thing. Like, if I audition for something, it doesn't go to me. It's like I don't like, I'm gonna break his knees. No, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, the Coen brothers was a good answer though. That's what
Yeah,
I was
that's a
looking
good
for.
answer. Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
I agree. So you are in a documentary that's absolutely amazing, and I want to tell you all, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It is that guy who was in that thing. Can you talk a little bit about it? And basically, and I mean this in the best way, you're a fantastic character actor. And there's a ton of fantastic character actors in that documentary. Do you remember anything about it, talking about anything? Has anybody ever seen it? And it's about great character actors. You're like, oh, who is that? And then you're doing that.
I've not seen it, but I'm gonna have to. I used to work at a video store, and the amount of times I've been asked that question.
That guy who was
You got that one movie with that one guy?
That guy. You know he's a survival quest in RoboCop 2. You know who it is.
Yeah. And that guy, that thing was actually an idea of my agent at the time. And like you say, just collecting a great group of character actors that we're all just talking about, you know, the phenomenon of people who love it like that. It happens to me sometimes in the street. They go, I know you. Oh yeah, you were in that movie. You know. And I'm like, help me out here, bud. Good interview. Yeah, but it was the one where, come on. And I was like, look, man, if you can't tell me, I can't tell you. But the truth is in that documentary, really gives you a good idea of what. Look, I'm a jobber. I'm a journeyman. You know, I do my job. So it's like you really get a feel for what it's like and what the regular working actor will go through. Still doing great work,
Yeah.
but not necessarily a name quotient. But you are a facial quotient with people. How do you forget a bug like this?
It's a fantastic documentary, and you tell a story about being in a hospital, correct? And someone giving you a hard time about in the elevator. Do you want to share that with them? Do you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
well, two things. Well, one, my parents were visiting. My children were very small. We all went out for a family dinner, and then that night, I woke up at like 3 in the morning, and I was violently ill, to the point where, and I've got a really strong constitution. My wife was like, I was on the floor, and she said, "Oh my God, we're going to the emergency room." She packs me in the back. Like I couldn't even sit in the front seat. I was like, And we get to the hospital, and I'm green. I think I'm going to lose it in the waiting room. And the nurse is checking in, and she's getting all the information from my wife. And at one point, she goes, "By the way, is your husband an actor?" And my wife said, "Yes." Can you like just move it on? You can see how sick he is. Because he's in my favorite rainy day movie. And my wife was like, "Can you please and then after I see the doctor, there's like, "Yeah, you got food poisoning really bad." The doctor was making Shawshank jokes as I was walking out of the room. He was walking out, like, "I'm gonna turn around and walk backwards just in case." But also, you mentioned one of the
Yeah, I was in the elevator. Someone.
Oh, yeah.
It was someone was mad about a bad guy.
Yeah. So
And they were
it's
giving you
Shawshank.
an
Yeah, but it's like, so my youngest daughter, she was only kind of 3 months old, and I had to take her for a checkup, so I'm going to Cedars-Sinai Hospital. I'm in the elevator, just before the doors closed. This woman bursts through the doors, and she kind of looks at me and turns around. We're going up, and my daughter's just sitting on my shoulder. All of a sudden, she turns around, she goes, "Oh my God, you're that man, and you have a
a child? She screams. It wakes up my daughter. I'm like, lady, I'm an actor. Jesus, I was actually a little angry. It was like, because she woke up my daughter. But it was like, yeah, I do that for a living. Like, please, leave me alone. But it happens to me every so often. It's like, I was with my girls in Costco. And some lady walks by and goes, you're disgusting. And my daughters were saying, Daddy, why didn't she just call you disgusting? I said, no, it was a movie I did. So yeah, with the variety of like evil, nasty characters I've played, yeah, I get that kind of feedback on the movie. But I take it as a compliment because the character makes a problem.
It's true though. It should be a compliment. But which one is the most aggravating here? Is it Shawshank that you just, man, one more time?
Yeah.
One more time.
Yeah, Shawshank is the one.
Because Aliens is like a B, and some of the other ones is like, yeah, it's Shawshank.
Yeah.
Even though it's a classic.
It's a classic, man. Yeah, it was a dirty job, but somebody had to do it.
And you did it well. Next question. Yes.
Well, in Aliens, the scene with the knife, I had heard that Bill Paxton didn't know that you were going to do that to him, and it's just such an iconic scene. It wouldn't be Aliens without. It wasn't funny, man. But that was all improvised. It was one take.
It was all set up by Lance. Lance had been practicing on himself with a real knife. And he, recruited me, told Jim he was going to do it, got the camera guys, and I think the ruse was like, hey, Bill, we just want to do a little test and see if this thing is going to work. Because, Bill was aware that Lance had been practicing this thing. So when we actually came to do it, we literally grabbed the Bill, sat him down, unfolded him down. And yeah, Lance went about the business of wondering he didn't see it. But the trick was they shoot it at maybe even slower film rate, and then they speed it up in post, which makes it look like a blur. But yeah, all that was real. That was Bill freaking out, like, what, man, what? And we got it. And I think that was a wonder. It was a one take. Yeah. And then Cameron liked it enough. It was like, yeah, we're just taking it because we wanted to fill in some of the camaraderie amongst the troop.
I can't imagine a world where they cut.
Yeah.
Such an iconic scene.
Yeah, but that's movie magic.
All right, next question. Did you have your hand?
Yeah, you could have answered this at a million panels before. I'd heard that everybody had a pretty heavy hand in their costume design on Aliens.
Yep.
You had something hanging off your head. Now, for that to be an aesthetic choice, that had to be cumbersome as all get out. Why would you have this thing in your face?
Look,
Chicken legs or something?
Yeah, we were all sitting there rehearsing, and then suddenly Jim Cameron says, pack everything up, follow me. Didn't say where we were going. So we're traipsing across Pinewood Studios. We go to the art department, up this rickety wooden set of stairs, into this room, paint buckets everywhere, bones, chicken bones, leather, just all kind of stuff. And he says, all right, each of you have your gear in front of you, just personalize it however you wish, and I'll see you later. That was it, he walked out of the room. So each of us were like, what did he say? So, we were just screwing around, really. And I just decided, to make it a leather rope necklace and stuck it in my hat. Just all kind of crazy stuff, I painted some nice breasts on my gloves and called my gun my bitch. It was just, you were thinking about what Drake would do. I mean, I always regarded Drake as just a bit of a meathead, I mean, Vasquez and I had a backstory between the two of us that, we were in a prison together in Rolston. And then we found out that we could take the opportunity to get out, even though it was potentially a deadly mission, but anything to get out of the crazy prison we were in, and we were going to have each other's back. So Drake was just I was the gun, I was the strong arm. So I was just took Drake would just take direction, do whatever. manipulative media. So that's what influenced that. But yeah, everybody. The sad part was James Remar personalized his gear. That Michael, when he flew in on a moment's notice, his gear didn't fit Michael really. If you look at the movie and it's I noticed it's not quite fitting, right? But and Michael's been pissed off that he didn't like all the stuff that Remar had put on his gear. But that's probably one of the most admirable performances in the movie, next to Lance Henriksen, who I thought was brilliant, is believing that he was an android. Was Michael's performance to step in at a moment's notice, land in LA, and he's on set the next day. That's hard work. He was brilliant. So there would have been two different types of Hicks, but Michael's one of those, probably not as intense. James Remar, who's a super guy, however many years since we made the movies, been sober ever since. And a really fine actor. We see him in shows now, and whenever I see him in town, he's wonderful. But back then, he was pretty intense, and his Hicks, because we rehearsed, it was really shaping up to be something very, very intense, a real contrast to Sigourney.
Did Spider-Man have a question in the back? He was raising his hand.
I see Spider-Man.
Does he have a question? He does not? Oh, okay. All right. Yes, sir.
I did have one. I wasn't going to ask you because I thought it was kind of silly. But you said something earlier about how much you thought you put into creating your characters, and then you just now said something about Drake and Vasquez. And as a kid, when the movie came out and I was 12 years old watching it, Drake and Vasquez were like a combat couple in my mind. So did Drake and Vasquez ever have anything going on, or were they just buddies, or you just said they were prisoners together that got out of prison by signing up? And I kind of remember that aspect from the
and Vasquez.
I'd love to hear your take on the relationship with Drake and Vasquez.
Yeah, I was never thinking nothing platonic. Strictly platonic rather. We just decided, she came to me and said, look, we got this opportunity, let's get the hell out of here. You have my back, I'll have yours, and that was the foundation of it. But the audience got, because we had such a chemistry.
Yeah, I always sensed there was something else between you two, but that would be it. That you guys came out of some other situation. But when your characters died, it was everybody thought, oh, he's died, oh, he died. No! You know what I mean? There's something more there.
Yeah, well, it was partially the work we got to do as actors when we rehearsed together. You really sort of develop a kinship and relationship that spills over on the screen. It's like Shawshank. We rehearsed for 3 weeks on Shawshank. And the same thing shows up. That's a very large cast.
It's unheard of.
Yeah, because most times you go to a movie set and you go, director says, oh yeah, this woman's playing your wife, how you doing? Okay, let's shoot. It's what? But most really great films will have some sort of rehearsal period. So you can iron everything out. But as for Jeanette and I, the other thing that cemented our relationship was the fact that the very first day we were using the smart gun and we had to do a test. So we had all the heads of departments and we were rigged up with the gun, and Jim said, go ahead, present the weapon. We put the weapon out, and the entire thing snapped off of our chests and hit the ground. And all the department heads just standing there going, Cameron says, duct tape. So they would duct tape us into the vest every single morning. And because Jim was on the hook for any overage in the movie, he really was sort of uptight and under the gun about not wasting any time on set. So consequently, when we break in between scenes, and Bill Paxton and Paul Riley would be going around telling jokes and making people laugh and having a good time, they wouldn't de-rig Jeanette and I from the guns. So we had to sit on stools like lugs, just like this. And consequently, we were talking to each other, and consequently, we become best friends, intimately best friends. And, to this day, it's she's been to my daughter's wedding. I've been to her family's weddings and family celebrations, and yeah, we became very close friends. And part of that comes on off the movie. It's also the camera structure, just in the dialogue, he structures everything. Like I think when she's dishing on Hudson, it's like, you know, I think that, you know, and I'm hitting her up about that because they're just too bad. You know, so she and I are doing this. That's really like the way Cameron's structured, so that when people say to me, man, we love your character so much, but he died so early. I said, yeah, but it was his plan. Cameron knew that he was going to create this Vasquez and Drake duo, and then you do the takeaway. And what does it do? It makes the audience go, what? Oh, no, what? And then you get further into the film. You know, you take away the one character everybody likes. So it's perfectly structured. I personally think it's his best film.
I think that's his best film.
I really do.
Not just because you're in it.
Not what?
Not just because you're in it. I'm not just giving you a hard
No, not at all. I mean, no, look, Jim is a, two reasons why I think. Number one is it took him over 8 years from when he wrote it to get it made. Because initially it was a great script that he spec that Fox just wanted to buy it off. I think they offered like $4 million. And he was like, no, I'm the director. And at that time he hadn't made a feature. So they said, look, go make a feature first and then we'll talk. So what does Jim Cameron do? He goes and makes Terminator. Massive hit. I have often done a movie called Weeds with McNulty. And I invited Jim to the screening on the Fox lot. And Jim came. But in true Jim Cameron fashion, he had just signed, after the success of Terminator, his $500 million contract with Fox. He pulls up to this screening in a brand new Porsche Targa, screeches into the lot, comes in, sees the movie. Afterwards, he shakes Dino De Laurentiis' hand and he says, Mark, great job. Look, I'll talk to you soon. I'll pass and give you a call. He hops in his lot. You know, the streets of Fox are really, really tiny. I actually watched him peel out of there going at least 70 miles an hour and screaming around corners. I mean, he loves his toys, but yeah, but I do think it's his best movie because he had lived with it for a long, long time. He had to go through the hoops to get it made. And the other movies, Titanic is brilliant. Abyss, not as good.
It's his most rewatchable. I'll give you that. It's the most rewatchable. It's the one that if you're on, you get into it, and you just go through it, you just go through it, you just go through it. You get caught up in aliens every single time. He's sort of like Shawshank. It's just you get caught up into it every single time. No matter how many times you've seen it.
Yeah. They have a momentum and a structure that, you know, quite frankly, I mean, not that I feel sorry for Jim, but you know, Avatar. Jim's hanging his hat on like 5 of these movies. And I think, God, you're such a cinematic genius. You really want to hang your hat on this? And it's like, they're beautiful, but
They're not rewatchable.
the story's weak. And that's the key to all great movies. Great story, great movie. Usually. Almost always.
All right, we only have time for 1 or 2 questions left. Anybody else got them?
Anybody?
We'll take the last question.
Ladies? Anything?
Anything at all? Okay. Man, dude, there's Reaper, there's Sledgehammer, there's Tales from the Crypt, there's RoboCop 2. You want to talk about? Okay. Well, then I'm getting my Tales from the Crypt. You go.
Since you've been in the game for so long, you're speaking about working on the new technology, the volume. So you've gone through the whole era of everything on set being built and real, tangible. Like you could walk through the alien hive and touch it. You know, nowadays if they did that, it would be on the volume. Is there something, and then the years in between, that green screen and blue screen stuff, I don't know if you ever had to work with that stuff a lot. But like, as an actor, do you find the tangible easier to work with than the volume or the voice acting, or does it just sort of, once you're in the mode, does it not matter to you? Do you have a preference of?
Well, it's interesting. I'll give you a full sort of retrospective here. I love the practicality of the film, like when you have everything real.
Yeah.
You know, because it supports your performance. I was in this series called Turn, Revolutionary War series, and we filmed in Richmond, Virginia, and we filmed in some of the, and Williamsburg. We filmed in some of the historic buildings in Williamsburg, where there were docents there, and they were like, sir, excuse me, you can't lean against the wall. But these buildings acted for you. Like, all I had to do was in the wig of the costume, you just sit there and you know, be your character, but the environment acts for you. So in the film, it's always great, you know, when you're on a really well-made set and you have all the props there, it's to lose yourself in the moment. The green screen stuff was difficult to get used to, right? But what just happened to me last week when I'm working with this virtual reality thing? So I did this, well, two scenes. There was one scene where I took a photograph off the wall, and it wasn't a real wall. It was just a stand, a C-stand, that they had a clip on, and I just took a piece. I didn't even touch the clip. I just snatched the piece of paper off the clip. But when they finally made that, it's going to be a wall with a bulletin board and a pin in it. Okay. And then another scene we shot was where some guys are kicking the crap out of someone, and I come in with a weapon. Now, if it was a decent prop weapon, and it felt like a gun, it looked like a gun, although it had little dots all over it. And I come in and I fire it, right? And then I said to the directors, I fire, and what do I do with the weapon? They said, just pretend like you're putting it in a holster, and then drop it. I was like, what? He said, yeah, don't worry about it. We clean it all up later. So imagine, I do the motion like this, and I just drop the thing and you forget about it, and it's wild. But in this world, this virtual reality world, they have so much capacity, computer capacity. They clean that up, they stick the wall in. It's just amazing what they can do. And it's only going to get finer and more intricate. And it's going to be like the way this guy described it, it's going to get hyper reality. So it's wild. It's great. And I'm just excited to be part of it. You know, even though I'm not a gamer, because my godson, when he was 3, he was playing Super Mario Brothers, and I said, "Oh yeah, come on!" I was babysitting for him. He said, "I'll play with you." He kicked my ass, and I was like, "All right, that's it. I'm not doing this."
My last question. Do you have a Tales from the Crypt story you could share? You just want Tales from the Crypt?
Oh no, I just love doing it. It was Joel Silver at RW Weapon. I got to play this English con man, and that was a cool set because that was all practical. Like they created this carnival, and I was like this English con man. I worked with some great old actors, Stefan Garage and David Arquette. Yeah. And you know, 2 real great journeyman character actors. Just had a ball. But the character I loved most making was I originated the role of Alistair, the demon of all demons in Supernatural. Yep. And the reason I loved that most was because I auditioned for Josh Whedon, and he saw the character I was going to do. But when I got up there to shoot, all the head honchos were off on a big location scout, so they left one of the underling producers there to monitor. And he just kind of let me go. He let me do my thing. And I did this character. It was kind of like although I was a demon of all demons, and I looked like I was a really bad insurance salesman. And I did an homage to Hannibal Lecter and Marlon Brando and The Godfather. And I knew it was good because I watched with my wife and daughters. I got a big old couch, and my youngest was sitting next to me, and then she gradually started inching away from me down to the end of the couch. And I was like, where are you going? What are you doing? Get back here. And she was like, no, Dad, you're freaking me out. Like, why are you talking like that? And it's really weird. And I was like, sweetheart, it's a character. But I thought to myself, yes, I did it. You know, I had such a good time. Why I didn't come back after 2 episodes, I personally think it was either ageism, because the show's skewed very young, and you know, the boys are really handsome, and a lot of women watch the show because of the boys. I also think it was what my character was so kick-ass, I kind of made the boys not look so good. I was more interested than they were. Yeah. But I used to beg my fans to say, look, do me a favor, if you really love Supernatural, can you just send an email to them and just say happy back once before they stop? Never happened. That was sad. But yeah, that was the most fun because they just let me go, let me do what I wanted to do.
All right, and with that, it's going to be this table the next 2 days. Let's give it up, Richmond, for Mark Rolston. Come on.
Stop by the table. I'm happy to talk to you.
Thanks.